Is it even a spirituality video if I'm not drinking kombucha? When we think about health, everybody thinks about physical health. It's like, okay, let me work out more. Let me lose some weight. Let me eat better, healthier quality foods. Let me get some good nutrition in. Let me prioritize my sleep. As a society, when it comes to the topic of health, everyone's pretty clear about physical health. Drink more water. Let me get some workout in. Let me lose some weight. Let me get into shape. Okay, cool. Now, mental health, and we'll say emotional health as well, has gotten a lot more respect, well-deserved respect over these last couple of years. And we're at a much better place as a society understanding mental and emotional health. I like to put these two together because a lot of things are intertwined, understanding that you are not your thoughts. And if you're learning this now, wow, you're not your thoughts, guys. Your emotions are also not you. A lot of times we have emotions that are responses to triggers or just other things going on that really have no indication or reflection of our true character. And identifying when your emotions are lying to you is a big thing. A lot of people think this is an emotion, this is who I am, but a lot of times it's actually the opposite. A lot of times that's just pre-programmed trauma responses, mindsets, the power your mindsets and your belief systems have, like what you really believe has a big impact on your quality of life or how you view your life. Reticular activation systems, what you look at is what you focus at. If you tell yourself the same stories, you live in the same stories and the same paradigms. If you tell yourself a better story, you shift vibrations and you become someone else, someone different. Won't get too in depth here. If you want more of this stuff, we can talk about physical health and mental health in another video. But spiritual health, now, this is where things get interesting because I believe that spiritual health is the most neglected pinnacle of health out of all the three. So let's say 33% is physical health. Everybody knows that. 33% is like mental health, like mastering your mindsets, your thoughts, your moods, your outlook on life, understanding how different things make you feel, et cetera, et cetera. But spiritual health is almost like in today's world, it feels like not a lot of people are talking about it. And I think a big part of the reason is it's kind of just like this taboo subject. It's like you don't want to like go pouring down your belief systems into some other person. Like, I don't know, we're just a society that doesn't like the preacher mentality. So, disclaimer for this video, we are going to talk about spiritual health. And no, don't worry, I'm not going to preach to you. I'm not selling you on an ideology or a philosophy. I'm not here to do any of that. All I'm going to do today is explain my spiritual journey and how getting in touch with my spiritual health and the spiritual side of my well-being was almost like discovering 33% of my essence that had been asleep most of my life. And I want to talk to you guys about something I discussed with my therapist many years ago. So if you don't already know, I quit drinking alcohol a little over 3 years ago. And that kind of started my path of self-improvement, self-development. I mean, I've always been on the path of improvement and growing, but when I quit using substances and alcohol as like a coping mechanism, that's really when things got real for me. So disclaimer, I used to be this person who was just, I don't know, I got stuck in a very negative place. Like the person you're talking to now is not the person I was 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, I was circling the pit. I was deep in the despair and the darkness. I was stuck in these limiting beliefs, these stories that were no longer serving me, these negative coping mechanisms. If I was happy, depressed, sad, whatever, alcohol felt like the thing I needed to do. So I got to this point of just severe apathy, just never feeling like I knew myself. My moods were chaotic and all over the place. I didn't feel grounded. I didn't feel consistent. I didn't feel healthy or good. And for me, the missing piece was alcohol, because I had actually started meditating and working out and doing things to take care of myself long before I quit drinking. But that was the one vice I didn't want to quit. And that was the one that I needed to quit probably like before anything else. Because after I quit that, physical health, way better. I feel much younger and healthier and vibrant now at age 33 than I did when I was 28. Mental health, quitting alcohol and stopping of ingesting substances that influenced my brain chemistry helped me finally shift into the person who does the things that naturally makes my brain very happy. And then I started to challenge a lot of limiting beliefs and toxic narratives. And I started doing the work to restructure and repurpose old stories that were no longer serving me. I got into meditation quite regularly. And somewhere along the line, things kind of shifted. But back to what my therapist had said. So I started doing therapy when I got into this kind of work. And I remember after like 1 to 2 years of sobriety, like my physical health got way better. My mental health, my mindsets, my outlook on life got exponentially better. I was releasing old limiting beliefs, stories, narratives that no longer served me. I was shifting into the stories that I wanted to become a part of me. And I was slowly, finally becoming the man I felt like I was always meant to be. But here's the thing. Even though I was physically healthy, and even though mentally things were starting to look pretty good up here, like mentally and emotionally, I was getting to a pretty good place. I still had this feeling, this deep, visceral, crazy feeling that I was still empty, and that I couldn't feel like real, legitimate joy, even though things were well. Mentally, I was doing better. Physically, I was doing much better. But I still had this like empty, hollow feeling, and I didn't know why I had it, and I didn't know why I felt that way. And I think I realized like a lot of like my life prior to that point has been just running away from that feeling, that void that's inside me, that just feeling that just couldn't be satiated. It's I think a lot of you guys who've been on a spiritual journey might resonate with what I'm saying. And let me keep talking. So I had this void, and then my therapist brought it up to me like 2-3 years ago, and then she basically said, "Well, it sounds like you're at this place where you're looking for spirituality and like looking to connect with God or like a higher power." And at the time, I'm basically like, if someone said that to you, you'd probably be like all woo woo about it, like, whoa, God, spirituality, faith. Like prior to that point, I couldn't really tell you what I believed in. I think I was just kind of like this person, like, yeah, there's like probably a God, but that was basically how far like my faith and spirituality went. And then I had that talk with my therapist, and at the moment, I don't think it really hit. Like I'm remembering it now looking backwards, but over the next couple of years, I kind of accidentally fell into my spirituality and my faith, which is the crazy part, guys, because I think with this journey that I've been on, I wasn't really looking to find faith, and I wasn't really looking to become a deeply spiritual person. It's almost like it was just my destiny, and I just fell into it. And I think a big part of it was the fact that I got into meditation. So after I quit drinking alcohol, I was already meditating prior to that point, but meditation became something much deeper for me when I quit drinking alcohol, because it was the only outlet I had to sit with my feelings, to process my old limiting beliefs, my traumas, to put down the foundation and the narratives of the good stories and the good belief systems that I wanted to have. It was almost like cleaning out all the scut work in my mind. What I found is by doing 20-30 minutes of breath work, at this point in my life, I probably meditate 4 or 5 times a week, but usually 4 at the minimum. I do it right after I work out, and I work out almost every day. So what I started to notice with meditation is like, not only did it help me with my mental and emotional health, because I learned to quiet this guy, which was the original reason I started meditating, was to quiet this guy, create more dopamine receptors, neuroplasticity, let my brain change into one that's more calm, happy, joyful, organic, pleasant, not this frenetic, chaotic brain that was addicted to substances and needed just a hit of something to feel something. No. I was on a mission to rewire this guy. And throughout getting, I guess, consistent with just sitting for 20-30 minutes a day and just doing breath work and breathing and meditating, I've noticed some differences. Some days, there'd be no thoughts. I'd just be in my breathing and it'd be cool, and it'd be like this moment of peace and bliss. Other days, I'd have a lot of thoughts that I needed to process, but I didn't beat myself up about it. I'm like, okay, these thoughts need to be thought. Let me just think them out, move forward. And then other days would be like doing the refiring and the rewiring. I used to have this mantra, I would say, and I outlined it all. It was like the skeleton blueprint of the man I wanted to be that I came up with very early in my sobriety. I'm like, okay, these are the values I want. This is the kind of man I want to be. These are the standards I want to live by. And these are the beliefs I want to have. I did that for probably like 2 years straight. I don't do the mantra anymore because it served its purpose. A lot of those things have already become ingrained in me that I don't have to remind myself that I want to be those things anymore. So mantras, they work. But the other thing that happened is I just started to feel like I was slowly becoming connected to something more than me. When I would have these periods of breathwork and meditation and just sitting with myself, I frequently have these feelings like, man, there's definitely something else out here. It's weird. It was weird. It's kind of like something you can't really describe on paper. It's more just like an experience and a feeling you feel. But as I'm meditating, I'm slowly connecting to something deeper. And then I'm just like, am I starting to believe in like God, faith, the universe, Christ, Buddha? Anybody? So I started shifting into becoming a spiritual person without actually realizing it, which is the crazy part. And then when I went on this recent trip of mine to Southeast Asia, I think that's when a lot of the boxes finally clicked. And then I realized that I'm actually a deeply spiritual person. So let me explain. So we have these 2 years where I'm just kind of like meditating and, I'm taking care of myself. I'm working out, I'm sober, I'm working on my mindsets and my outlook on life, but I'm still feeling this void. I'm still feeling empty. I'm still feeling hollow. And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it's just like I need a relationship. Maybe that's the next phase. Maybe I need to like level up in my career or something. I don't know. Actually, no, not career. YouTube maybe, but not career. But I'm thinking like those are probably like the missing pieces. Like, oh, I probably just need a relationship. It's that time. I'm meant to be with someone, right? One half with another half, make a whole. It turns out it wasn't that. But then fast forward to my trip where I went to Southeast Asia. I started having some very spiritual experiences. So for starters, I have this hematite bracelet, or I had a hematite bracelet. And if you don't know, hematite is like the stone that's supposed to soak up all the negative energies. And when it serves its purpose, it falls apart or it breaks. And I had actually got that hematite bracelet in Las Vegas on the trip where me and one of my ex-girlfriends broke up. And that was the breakup that made me break up with booze. Fun fact. So the crazy thing about it is that my life had been pretty chaotic to that point. And at that point, I think I was just like half drunk and I'm like, oh, hematite, negative energies. I've got so much of those. Yes, give me that bracelet. I'm like, give me that bracelet. So I bought it in Vegas. And I think like the next day, me and the girl I was with ended up breaking up. Huge fight, of course, because of me being under the influence of alcohol and not grounded at all in my masculinity or my core values. Or basically, I didn't even know who I was back then. So it's nothing on her, nothing on me. But that's when I got the bracelet, funnily enough, in the most chaotic season of my life. And the next 3 years of sobriety and me picking up the pieces and putting myself back together, basically, that was my favorite bracelet. And I would wear it all the time for like 3 years straight. That was like the bracelet I always wore, this awesome hematite bracelet. I wish I had a picture of it. But then as soon as I decided, all right, I'm going to do this trip to Southeast Asia, I put everything in a storage unit. I took a leave of absence from my job and got 5 months off from work. Bought a one-way ticket to Asia, no plan. I get to Bangkok. And the first day I get to Bangkok, I'm unpacking my bags. I check into my hostel. I put on my hematite bracelet because I'm getting ready to go out and explore the nightlife in Bangkok. And then all of a sudden, the bracelet shatters. It shatters. You can't make this shit up. On the first day of my amazing 4-month backpacking sabbatical, the hematite bracelet I had shattered. And then I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. But then I'm obviously like curious. So, I go on Google and I'm like, what are the spiritual reasons your hematite bracelet breaks? And then basically it's like, whenever the bracelet served its purpose and the negative energy and the bad vibrations have been sucked up, it falls apart. Coincidence? Maybe. Spiritual epiphanies? That's what we're here for. So that was the first thing that happened. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I'm just gonna go with the flow. A couple weeks later, I remember I had saw some girl and she had like some tattoo and it was like I'm trying to remember the story properly, but then she had like three numbers. It was like three sevens on her wrist. I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, oh, those are celestial numbers. Three numbers in repetition mean are like celestial signs. They mean like different things. I'm sorry if you're really into this. I'm probably butchering the meanings right now, but this was something new I had learned, and I still haven't really fully learned celestial signs. But I saw this girl with a three sevens tattoo. And then after I met her, next hostel I check in, the locker I have, locker number 7. And then I go to like, I don't know, I did a couple other things, but everything I did, I would just keep seeing the number 7 pop up. 7777. After I saw that, maybe it's the reticular activation system. Since I saw sevens, they're relevant to me now. Now I'm looking at all the sevens, but I was seeing a lot of sevens. And then I was hiking up in northern Thailand in a place called Pai. And I was trekking through this valley. And I remember like looking up at the sun, and then I just had this moment where I was just like feeling really connected to like the universe and the world. And I just found myself staring at the clouds for like 15, 20 minutes, just because I was like, it was almost like I was seeking, looking for more. And then the crazy thing is that I saw a cloud that basically looked like Odin. You know, the one-eyed Norse deity Odin. And I'm just like, whoa. And then a few seconds later, it shifted and somehow looked like the country of Australia. And then I'm just like, am I supposed to be a pagan? Am I supposed to go to Australia? What am I seeing up here in the clouds? And then that was it. You know, I thought that thought, and then I went about my day. And then a few weeks later, I am on another hike. I am basically walking through the beautiful village of Changdao, through all these majestic rice fields, and there's a huge mountain in the distance, and tons of nature everywhere. And when you walk, you'll see snakes and frogs and birds chirping and fish in ponds swimming everywhere. It's just this beautiful place. And I'm on one of my walks, and it's getting close to sunset, and the sun's setting past the mountain, and I'm looking at the mountain and the clouds, and there's not a bird anywhere out in sight. And I'm having another one of these moments where I'm just like, I haven't quite become fully spiritual at this point. I'm kind of like falling into it. And I'm having this moment where I'm just feeling, you know, that feeling, that emptiness, that lost feeling. Like, am I on the right path? Am I guided? Am I doing what's meant for me? And then I look up at the mountain, and I'm basically just having a talk with the big guy at this point. I'm like, God, if you're out there, universe, God, whoever, give me a sign and let me know that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing the right things, that I'm living my life the way I should be living my life. And of course, there was no sign. Like, nothing happened. And I'm just like looking at the sunset and the mountains, and I'm like asking for a sign. And then I'm just like, you know, nothing's really happening. I'm like, okay. And then I turn around and I start to walk off. And I kid you not, as soon as I turned around to walk off, the next thought I had was, Sammy, you're being silly, bro. Of course you're guided. Of course you're on the right path. Why would you not be? And as soon as I had that realization, I turned around to look at that mountain one more time. And when I turned around to look at the mountain, this huge flock of birds, like, I'm not kidding, it's like 50 of them, flew into my frame of vision from beyond the trees. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty crazy, you know? As I'm like here, I'm like, God, give me a sign. Am I on the right path? Am I living my life the way I should be living it? Am I doing the right things? Nothing. But then when I turn around, and then I have the realization that, of course, I'm on the right path. Of course, I'm being guided. There wasn't any reason for me to doubt it to begin with. When I have that thought, and then I turn around, that's when everything is reaffirmed. Crazy. I know, right? crazy. You can't really explain like spiritual experiences and moments like this. But that happened to me, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, whoa, yeah, hell yeah, I am on the journey of being who I'm meant to be and helping the world in the way I'm meant to help the world and living the life that's meant for me. I'm following my destiny. I'm getting really in touch with faith. Just this belief in something that's more than me. And then fast forward 2 weeks later, I go. And at this point, it's almost like the spiritual muscle or side of me is just, it's kind of just been like building up. It's just like I haven't gone looking for these experiences. They've just kind of been happening to me. And then I check in at a hostel in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand as well. And I go to the lobby and I overhear this Australian girl talking. And I don't remember what exactly she was talking about. But I remember it had something to do with like energies and manifestation, like purpose or destiny, something like that. But anyways, I heard her talking about it and I instantly just felt like I had a lot to say. So I just started talking to her. And like the first conversation we had was like some deep, passionate heart to heart about like spirituality and like the universe and being connected to things deeper than us. And then I'm like, wow, this was so cool. Let's hang out later tonight and go get some dinner. Shout outs to my sweet friend Grace from Australia. Now, if you remember earlier, I said that I saw a cloud that looked like Australia, and then I met this person 2 weeks later. Just throwing that out there. So then I ended up hanging out with this woman named Grace, ironically, right? Grace, get it? And this was the craziest thing is that we hung out and I felt like I could just be myself around here and I could just say whatever I wanted to say. And a lot of what we talked about was deeply spiritual. Actually, that's basically all we talked about. We started talking about spirituality just like nothing. It was like we're talking about faith, the gods, the universe, tarot cards, vibrations, energies. And at that moment, it was almost like 1/3 of my entire being came alive. And it was like 1/3 of myself that I always had. And this is the crazy part. Like when I was having this conversation and talking with her, I realized like, what the hell? I've actually been deeply spiritual for probably most of my life, but I just never leaned into it and I never explored it. And it was always dormant. But then I'm here and I'm having the spiritual conversation with this woman I met from Australia. And it was one of the most epic nights of my life as far as just like talking and communicating. Because in that moment, I shared a side of myself that I had never shared with anybody prior to that point. And I don't even think I had shared that side of myself with myself. I didn't even know that side of me existed. This is the crazy part. Like I didn't even know that part of me existed until that moment. And then at that moment, it was like, whoa, it was almost like 1/3 of me that I didn't have for like my entire life came back to life. And then I felt full. And I didn't realize this when it happened. Like I can only remember this now and feel this way now that I'm looking back on it. And now that I'm looking back on it, I'm like, oh, that was the event. Because it was so weird. It was like I was having this conversation. I was talking about things that I think subconsciously I believed in and were a part of me, but maybe it was repressed. Maybe it was just something I never fully explored. But after that, that's when I was just like, whoa, I am deeply spiritual and I believe in more than myself. And then I think after that, the rest of the trip was basically just good times, good vibrations, more doubling down and shifting into the spirituality side of things. And then since I've come back, and this is the crazy part, because I was worried that maybe I was on like some kind of travel high when I was traveling, and that when I came back, I wouldn't be the same, or I would be the same old me who left. But the truth is, like, I'm in the same place. I'm back at my old job, trauma nurse. I'm doing a lot of the same things. I'm around a lot of the same people, but I don't feel the same at all. My energy is so different since I've come back. And since I've gotten really in touch with my spiritual side, like I feel just happy and I feel almost like perfect. And here's the crazy thing. It's like, I know I'm not perfect. There's so much about me that is not perfect. There's so much about me that's flawed. but I'm just okay with all the flaws and all the imperfections. And there's so many dreams I haven't achieved yet. You know, I don't make a shit ton of money. My YouTube isn't taking off the charts. I'm single. Actually, I like being single, but I'm single right now. I don't have that dream partner or that twin flame relationship. Like there's so many things I haven't achieved yet that I want. But besides that, I'm so fucking happy. There's so many shitty things that happened in my past, like, you know, the alcohol abuse age, the depression, the limiting mindsets, the breakups. But besides all of that, I'm grateful to be alive and I'm glad it happened. And in this moment, I literally, it's crazy, guys. I don't feel like I need anything right now. This doesn't mean I'm not motivated and I'm not driven and I'm not trying to like achieve things or explore creative outlets, because I'm actually doing all of that. But I'm not dependent on needing any of that to be happy and to just love this moment and to love talking to you guys and to just bring this energy and share it with the world, because life to me it's very simple now. And it's just like, I think getting in touch with my spiritual side was like actually finally realizing that I am enough and I've always been enough, even though that was in my mantra and that was a mindset I've been working to shift into. When I actually got into like my spiritual vibration, I truly started to resonate with that. Like, yeah, I am enough exactly as I am today. And who am I? I literally have a Thor's hammer around my neck. There's a cross on my ear. I'm rocking a Tokyo hat. I've got a cardigan on. Literally a freaking Pikachu right here posted up next to my freaking desk. And if you think that's not nerdy enough, dudes, I've got Ronald freaking Weasley as well here. So like, despite all that, like, you know, I'm nerdy, I'm cool. Am I a pagan? Am I Christian? No, I'm just spiritual. Because to me, I think belief is actually a very simple thing. It's literally two words to me. It's I believe. And that's it. I'm not like trying to preach or like pour some stuff down your throat. Like, oh, you need to believe in this, because to me, at the end of the day, it's just, I believe. And to take this further, and I might get some shit for this, but I'm just being honest with you guys. I really just believe that all of these like religions and faiths and things we turn to, I really think they're one and the same. I think any form, any facial, any representation, be it Thor, Odin, Allfather, Buddha, Christ, the universe, source, eternity, God, Allah. I think all of these are just reflections and expressions of the one divine energy that's out there for everybody, whatever that energy may be. And yeah, I'm a little weird with my faith. Sometimes when I'm wrestling with my masculinity and my warrior spirit and what it means to be a man in today's age and really trying to get to my masculine core, Odin, that feels like what I want to call out to. Other times, it might be Christ. Does it mean I'm Christian or pagan? I don't know. I think I'm just a guy who loves faith and I love all the expressions of faith. And I don't follow any rule books for faith because I don't think it needs a rule book. It's as simple as just believing and connecting to something deeper than yourself. And yeah, and sometimes if shit hits the fan, it's God. Other times when I'm feeling really grateful and just blissed out and really just accepting and connected, it's the universe. If I'm lacking guidance, maybe it's the Allfather, that parental figure. I think what I'm trying to say here and what I want you to take from this is that whatever faith you choose to believe in or follow or spirituality you choose to quest and whatever spiritual path you embark on, there's not one right way. And that's what's really cool with this. And I think a lot of people will connect with this is that there is no one set path. It's just peace and love and understanding and joy at the end of the day. And I will say one more thing. If you're like on the fence and maybe you're like an atheist or you're just not spiritual at all, because I used to not really be spiritual, it's tying into our mental and emotional health. It's like you can believe whatever you want to believe, but why not believe something that actually serves you? So if I'm like not believing in anything, I'm atheist. I don't believe in anything. Then when shit hits the fan, it's just me. I'm like, okay, it's just me. There's really nothing else. But when I have faith in deeper things like destiny, and that I'm always where I'm meant to be, and I'm on the right path, moving towards what's meant for me, it doesn't matter what happens to me. Like, some horrible shit could happen to me, and I'm not going to disillusion you. Like, I have bad days. I still have bad moods sometimes. Things don't always work out for me. It's all just part of the human experience. But when things just blow up in my face and nothing's working out, somehow I still laugh about it. And also, and I think why I feel like I'm always just okay is because I've bought into this idea of destiny and faith. And what's meant for me is meant for me, and nothing else can ever take that away from me. And it doesn't matter what bullshit I endure or what happens to me. It doesn't matter because I've already surrendered. Like, I've surrendered to this game of life we play, the divinity that is within everything, and that I'm just always where I'm meant to be. So even if it's like bleak and everything looks dark and horrible, like the lighting in this video, the fact when you have faith is it's like this reinforcement. It's like when I don't know where to put my energy and I feel like myself is starting to crumble a little bit, I can put that energy elsewhere in my higher power, my faith. And then by doing so, it makes me just feel okay. And I become equipped to just handle all the ups and downs the world throws at me. And that is spiritual health in a nutshell. And that's the part I think most people are missing, because I was missing it too, even though I didn't realize I was missing that side of me. But since I found it, I don't know, life is just fun, guys. I find myself having this lighthearted feeling most of the time, like this just joy. Like I'm just loving life. I love being happy. I love cracking jokes. I'm doing my best. I'm making whatever content I can and hoping for the best. And I'm chasing my dreams, and I'm open to a beautiful relationship one day. And I'm open to having this YouTube take off and me helping the world in my own way. And I'm open to taking care of my body and just being in good health until the day I die. But if, nothing worked out, it's still a good life. And every day I think is a bonus. And that is just such a sweet way to live. And if I could find that, me being this depressed, drunk, toxic, automatic negative thoughts, mopey, just low vibration version of me back in my 20s, if I could escape all of that and get to this place where I'm just like good, so can you. Anybody can do this. And you can do it naturally too, because I know a lot of people like to do ayahuasca or like shrooms or psychedelics and try to get that spiritual trip. But I will honestly tell you that it's not even necessary, because I got to this just from like 20-30 minutes of meditation and breath work every day for a couple years. And it's worth the journey when you actually find and discover it. So I hope you do find what works for you. And it doesn't have to be anything textbook. I think that's the moral of the story, is that your faith doesn't have to be something that anyone else believes in. It's individualistic. It's what you choose to believe in. You could follow a religion. You can be Christian. You can be a pagan. You can be a hippie. It doesn't matter. I think what matters is that you connect into something deeper, and I think everybody who loves spirituality will agree with that. So thank you for attending my TED Talk on spirituality, mental health, emotional health, physical health. And I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. And peace, joy, all the good vibrations, all the energies, sending them your way. Yeah, I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way.